Hi, my name is Nigel Alderson, and for the purposes of this production, I am the technical director. Technical director basically runs the show in terms of the set design, overseeing construction, lighting design, and sound design, and then putting the operators in place for that. So starting off, this is the booth. This is the nerve center of the production. This is where I will be spending the entire run of the show. I'll be up here with a lighting operator and a sound operator. I will probably be running the sound for this particular show. So let me show you the soundboard. And it looks incredibly complicated. In fact, it's not. So it's the same thing over and over again. This is a 32-channel soundboard. So you see each one of these sliders represents a channel. And each channel, you can vary the frequency of the sound coming in, so that if you want to cut out low frequencies or medium frequencies or high frequencies, that's what these banks do. All these little buttons merely turn these channels off and on. So into each one of these channels you can plug either a wireless microphone, you can plug in what we call a house microphone. So here's the house microphone. This is where we make announcements. We can always use for sound effects. Then over here we have a bank of CD players. The CD players are used for traveling music, for music inside the show and in between the acts. We also run sound effects out of off a CD player, or a lot of times what I do is I will set up the sound effects on a computer, and the computer audio channel can plug directly into the soundboard. So what we're running right now, for example, right here, there are two mics down on the floor of the stage. And this is for general sound. So basically we have these two mics on, picking up the sound of the actors, probably from mid-stage to fore-stage. And I can vary the pitch and the frequency of the sound coming out through the two big speakers you can see on the wall down there. So we put this in place if we have a large cast, because not everybody is going to talk at the exact same volume. So we put in the floor mics so that we can make sure that all the actors are coming out, the volume is equal. So in theater we have a rule that we call the 20-foot rule. And the 20-foot rule basically says that if you can't see the difference from 20 feet away, then it's magically real. What we have here is a radio that looks as if it came out of the 50s. This in actual fact is a reproduction. Here's a port for the tape deck to go in. What's interesting about this particular prop is that there's a sound cue that goes with it. And a lot of people may not realize when they hear it how that we've researched this. Because this unit would have been powered by thermionic valves, or tubes as they're known here in the States. And when you turn it on, it warms up. And when you turn it off, it cools down. So we have to match a sound cue to when this radio is turned on, and what you'll hear is the sound volume come up gradually and then become the radio announcer's voice, and then when it gets turned off, it'll actually fade away. As opposed to today, when you turn something on because of its solid state technology, it comes on straight away. Very subtle kind of difference that you'll see. Some members of the audience will catch it, others may not. But it's an example of the kind of research that goes into a period piece. In this case, this is a piece from the 50s. So this is the lighting board. A little bit like the soundboard, in as much as it has a channel for every light. Now you can put one light on a channel, or you can put a group of lights on a channel. It just depends on the effect that you're looking for. So before we get to the lighting operation, we have to do lighting design. So for the purposes of this show, it's general lighting mostly, a couple of specials and a couple of special effects, but not too much going on. So the bulk of the lights are actually wired into each of the channels. In this particular setup, we have 64 lights in the theater, and each of those lights can be programmed into any of these channels that you want to do that. And that's done through this keyboard here. So I can set the intensity, or I can set the lights at any level I want through this computerized keyboard. In the old days, when you changed from one scene to another, it was done manually, and you would do a crossfade would look like this, and you would crossfade two lights across the board. What we can do now is we can program the entire show into the memory of this computer so that the lighting operator, all they have to do is hit go, and it goes from cue to cue. So here's the lighting board, and if you remember, we talked about the signboard and how each of these sliders corresponds to a channel. Same thing with the lighting. And the display for each of these channels is set up on this computer screen. Each of these numbers represents a channel or a light. So we'll use example lighting number 24. So light number 24 corresponds to channel number 24 here. Now if you watch the display, you'll see the light come up, and that's expressed in percentage. So right now that's 20% of the light, up through 50% of the light, and then there's 100% of the light. In this particular case, mostly general lighting. We only have two scenes. We have a courtroom and we have the judges' chambers. So the only time you'll see a change in the light is if there's a dramatic effect wanted, and you will see that in this play. It'll be very subtle. But there are a couple of monologues that are given by some of the characters, and what we tend to do is very subtly dim the lights except for a light that would be playing on that individual, so that the audience is drawn to the monologue and the rest of the cast kind of fade into the background for that particular moment in the play. So the lighting designer and the director work very closely together to make sure that the director is getting her vision or his vision across to the audience.